Oklahoma paid John Matiere what?
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Go visit FanDuel.com today. He's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. And Pete Nakos of On3 in an article discussing the new way of thinking in college football, where universities are less inclined to pay big buyouts and more inclined to reinvest or make bigger investments into the program, name, image, and likeness. Dropped a little nugget that one John Matiere, Oklahoma quarterback, the golden arm that's expected to take Oklahoma back to the college football playoff. I mean, those are, I think, are the expectations, is going to be making $3 million with the Sooners if he's here for 2025 and 2026, Jay.
Yeah, they got him on a 2-year deal, basically $1.5 million a year. And the question is John Matiere worth that? I'm going to be honest. Yeah, that's the going rate for a quarterback nowadays, at least for right now. Now, this, as I mentioned numerous times in some old episodes, John, that this was the last big free agency portal season that we had in the winter. That's the last big one. Going forward, everybody's going to be focusing on their 105-man roster and waiting on the settlement to come down. That way, a Brent Venables and a Jim Nagy can figure out what exactly the roster construction is going to need to look like. And so John Matiere got in there and he got a chance to get that bread before it erodes, I guess you could say, or disappears or gets cut down. I mean, that's why you see a lot of kids reclassifying. Rumor has it a lot of kids are moving up a class because they were trying to catch that last wave of big money that could potentially come their direction, because now that stuff's going to be, for lack of better terms, regulated. But the real reason why John Matiere is worth the $3 million over 2 years is not just that's the going rate, but the buyout for Brent Venables is pretty high. And the fact that we've had good defenses and just meh offenses, and one of those meh offenses was like fourth in the country in yards and scoring. All we need is to get some consistency. And I think Ben Arbuckle can bring that with John Matiere.
Yeah, so 2022 offense, I thought was good. Not great, but good. 2023 offense, it was good to great, almost great. Save for a couple of games where Jeff Levy decided to take the ball out of Dylan Gabriel's hands against Kansas. And then on a 4th and 5, first on a 3rd and 10, trying to run a 3-yard slant, and then a 4th and 5, trying to run a 4-yard out, and not being able to pick up a first down against Oklahoma State. But I'm not stressing about that anymore. I'm not mad about it anymore. Maybe. But when the offense kind of went in the tank, the season went in the tank in 2024. And so you're banking on the fact that you can retool and rebuild the offense a little bit quicker than maybe you'd be able to retool and rebuild the rest of your team. You know, Pete Nakos quotes an unnamed source saying, you know, the teams or programs are more likely to want to just kind of retool and rebuild than have to completely rehire a new staff. And that makes a lot of sense. The fact that you've had some success with Brent Venables, I think, makes a difference. The fact that you've been able to show a progression of the defense makes a big difference, so that if you do get the quarterback that you think is going to be able to carry you to a big time season, you get an offensive coordinator that's really good and one of the hottest names in college football, and Ben Arbuckle. There's no reason why the offense can't return to respectability, and if not, be better than that and be good, and your team's going to be capable of winning a lot more games. So, but for John Matiere, I mean, $1.5 million? Are you kidding me? For a dude with 44 total touchdowns and nearly 4,000 total yards, like that's easy money. Like, definitely, that's QB1 money, and that's a really kind of a drop in the bucket. Like, Michigan's given $10 million to Bryce Underwood and Nico. I mean, the reports out there for Nico Yamanayava before he ever took a snap in college football was around the 10, 11 million range, if I'm not mistaken. There were big numbers. We don't And I'm sure there were big numbers being thrown towards Arch as well before ever taking a snap in college football. So the fact that you get a guy with a lot of experience under his belt and production to go with it at the price of 1.5 million. And honestly, he probably could have gotten a whole lot more out on the open market if he was truly considering other significant offers from like a Miami and North Carolina who were pursuing him. Then he likely could have gotten more, but he wanted the continuity of playing with Ben Arbuckle, and he wanted to come to Oklahoma, which was a school that was high on his list coming out of high school. It just, the timing didn't work for him.
Yeah, and the other thing that was really pointed out, as you mentioned before, it's if you decide to go ahead and buy out that coach, you're going to have to figure out how to retain all of that talent that coach brought in. Unless you feel like that coach did not bring in good enough talent and you're okay with doing a refresh of that. But we all know that people don't think that the talent that Brent Venables brought into Oklahoma is talent that's not good. We've had schools already tampering with our players, trying to bring Sooners to their programs because they've done a good job of building a solid culture and bringing in some really good players. Biggest problem is unfortunately there was a really bad hire there, and that's something that you have to live with, and you live, you learn, you get loves, and you make it happen. So yeah, that $3 million is really a steal when it comes to a player like John Matiere and what talent he has and what he's going to bring to the table. Now the question is, as Jim Nagy assessed the roster, what's the next splash that they're going to make, especially here in the spring portal? I think there's going to be a few players they're going to have to go after. There's got to be at least one or two. Like, it's, for example, as I talk about Brent Venables, if he gets let go or bought out, they got to change players. Tennessee State's now seeing a massive exodus of kids leaving their school. Now, so it's Tennessee State, but because Eddie George is leaving, going to Bowling Green this late in the cycle, this is the problems that a lot of these other schools are starting to deal with. And so for Oklahoma, it'd been the same thing. You let go of Brent Venables, you're going to lose probably half your defense. Yes, a lot of them are recruited to love Oklahoma, but they got a loyalty to Brent Venables. Just ask Jaron Kanik. He's not the only one that feels that way.
Yeah, and if not Brent Venables, then Todd Bates or Miguel Chavis, who are definitely Brent Venables guys. And
people have been wanting them for jobs.
Right. And so the David Stones, the Jaden Jacksons, the PJ Adebawara's, there's a lot of guys that are here because of those assistant coaches, not just because they love Oklahoma. So I'm good with the strategy. I felt like 2024 was a disaster, and it wasn't completely on Brent Venables. Obviously, it was on Brent Venables because he's the one that made the coaching hire, but so much of it, and I know y'all are tired of hearing about it, but the injuries matter. The injuries are part of the story. The injuries played a big role into why they were so unsuccessful last year, especially on offense. Get the offense back. Even if you get the offense scoring 30 points per game like it did in 2022, you're not a 6-7 team. If that 2022 offense had the 2024 defense, Oklahoma is a playoff team, in my opinion.
Oh, easy. 22 has this Oklahoma defense and have a backup quarterback that can come in if your starting quarterback gets hurt. Yeah, easily a team that wins the Big 12 and makes a deep run. They probably outdo TCU with no problem. But it's, that was the one thing that Brent Venables had to do coming in, was completely revamping the roster. They had to revamp that defense. And it was not that the defensive players just weren't good. They weren't high. They were good star and highly star rated. They needed specific talent to be able to make it, especially towards the SEC. And now we're getting to that point. Certain players that play a certain level and that play at a certain weight and size.
Yep.
We're getting to that point now. So, yeah, the cost of refreshing this entire roster, John, would have been ridiculous. And that's not something I think Sooner fans would have wanted to go through. Yeah,
and they may have to go through it at some point, especially if they're not able to find some success in 2022. I got the 2022 recruiting class all in my head because that was a great class that's having a big impact right now on the roster and is going to have a big impact in 2025. But if Oklahoma doesn't win, we might be going through this roster retool next year, but here's hoping that they do win big and we can begin a trajectory of Oklahoma being a playoff contender year after year after year after year. And this is not a a yearly conversation that we're having with the Sooners, because how long did it take Texas to go from, the national championship winning teams that they had, national championship contending teams that they had under Vince Young and Colt McCoy, to get back to the college football playoff with Quinn Ewers? It took a long, long time. And I don't think anybody wants to go through that. So here's hoping that 2025 shows us that Brent Venables is the guy. Who are going to be sleepers for the Oklahoma Sooners? We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. And today's episode is brought to you by Nissan. We're all about stats because numbers don't lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. With the ability to tow 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team, plus the gear wherever you need to go. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room for up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger moments. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com.
March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 in extra bucks to use on anything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, and even who's cutting down the nets. Like me, I'm looking at the Oklahoma Sooners right now, and we're really close to getting into the tournament, and it sounds like we are probably a shoe-in. If we can win against Kentucky, good chance we can go higher. So make sure you go visit FanDuel.com and get into the hoops action all tournament long.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The Oklahoma Sooners are a team hoping to get back into playoff contention. And one college football analyst, Jay, believes that the Sooners could be a bracket buster.
Yeah, there's conversations right now that Oklahoma is one of the programs that could possibly surprise teams in college football. The Athletic has been writing about it. I saw an article from them. Saw an article from on ESPN. I've seen an article over at CBS Sports. John, everybody is now starting to look at Oklahoma a lot closer than I like. I'm kind of feeling uncomfortable, if you really want me to be 100% honest. I would like less people to give Oklahoma props. I would like less people to think, well, last year was a fluke. It definitely was an anomaly with all the injuries, and there's a chance they can bounce back. No, stop saying that. I want you to say that Oklahoma sucks, and there's no chance they can do anything, so we can continue to sneak by and potentially win this bad boy. But no, it's becoming a very big trend, and every time we get on here and talk about that, a lot of people are getting upset. They're like, don't put the cart before the horse. We're not. We're just pointing out what everybody else is saying, because we totally see. We understand what the news outlets are finally starting to see. They're starting to recognize, okay, no, seriously, those injuries is not a very common thing. And if Oklahoma gets past that, there's a chance they're going to be a threat. John, do you really think that the team can be a threat, though?
If they can keep one of their starting wide receivers healthy, I think they can be a threat. Just one. I just need one. It might be asking a lot, but 2? Can I get 2 of my top 3 wide receivers to be healthy and stay healthy for the entire season? I mean, right now we're not there. One of your 3 projected starters is available, and Giovanni Gibson, and apparently he's tearing up spring ball right now. But you're going to need playmakers elsewhere. You got to have the offensive line step up, have good continuity, be a better unit than what it was last year. I mean, there's potential. I mean, there's a potential for Oklahoma to be a playoff contender, but that schedule is brutal, man. And we've talked about it. I don't think it's as brutal as what people are making it out to be. I think it's very manageable for the Sooners, but it's that November stretch where they play at Tennessee, bye week, at Alabama, and then you have Missouri and LSU to finish the season. Those 4 games, that's going to tell the tale of Oklahoma's 2025 season, in my opinion. Obviously, the Texas game is huge, but how you finish in those 4 games is going to determine whether or not you make the playoff.
Yeah.
You've got a quarterback in John Matiere that I think is capable of leading Oklahoma to it. Remember, Will Howard and Riley Leonard were in the national championship game. And if you would have asked anybody this time a year ago if Will Howard and Riley Leonard were national championship winning quarterbacks, I think the majority of people would have said no. There were going to be some that said, hey, you know what? Will Howard at Kansas State in 2023 was really good. Riley Leonard's had some really good moments at Duke, but I don't think anybody would have projected them to be national championship contending quarterbacks. You've got something similar in John Matiere, a guy who, 1, is a transfer quarterback, but 2, a very athletic quarterback that can run and run well, and he can run physically. And it's a guy that you can kind of lean on in your offense, much like Ohio State did with Will Howard and much like Notre Dame did with Riley Leonard. You can lean on a guy like John Matiere, not only to throw the football, but also get you dirty yards. When you're getting into those 3rd and 4th in short situations, you can run a lot of that quarterback power because he's a much more powerful runner than Jackson Arnold is. Jackson Arnold's a good runner, but he just doesn't have the same power that John Matiere has. So, I mean, there's potential. The defense is going to be good. John Matiere is going to be good. Got to be healthy at wide receiver and along the offensive line, and you have to be better at those positions than you were last year.
Yeah, and as we're breaking down these rooms, and I'm getting more and more excited about, especially the defense and what the potential truly is there, because bringing back as much production, even though it's roughly at 46th in the country, bringing back the production that we are as a team, John, that stands out to what Brent Venables has been trying to do. And I was listening to Gabe and Teddy talk over the Oklahoma Breakdown on their last episode when they was breaking down a linebacker room. The one thing that Teddy said that really jumped out to me was that Oklahoma played a lot of rotations, especially at linebacker. What that did was it got a lot of experience in critical snaps for a lot more players than you typically would get, because usually your stars are going to stay on the field as long as possible. But Oklahoma rotated a lot of those linebackers that way. So your Kobe McKenzie and your Kip Lewis in their rotations with Samuel Masigo, right? And, that allowed for them to, Kobe and Sammy to pick up some really big snaps and important moments in the game to where they can build that confidence in preparation for this year. Now they've kind of seen what it's like to be out there, high stakes 3rd down and 2, or 2nd down and 2, and you waiting to see if the offense is going to, take a shot deep because they've got, 2 more downs to get that 1st down, or if they're going to try to run it down your throat, and if you're ready to, be prepared for it, maybe even a trick play. That gets them in that mode to where they're prepared. So I'm pretty excited about that part, is that the snaps that are coming back are so high, especially in critical spots. Now all we got to do is, get the 2 defenders that we brought here from the portal, get them acclimated. I think this defense can be better than it was last year.
Answer the cornerback question. And again, you're not playing as experienced group of quarterbacks as you did last year. But if you answer the cornerback question, the defense is going to cook, because defensive line is great. Like, it's one of the best in the country. From
100%.
Defensive end to defensive tackle, that's a group that's going to be as good as anybody in the country. It's all on the offense. It's really what 100%. It comes down to. And if pressure is privilege, all the pressure in the world right now is on John Matiere, Ben Arbuckle, and the offense. That's going to make or break Oklahoma's season, because the defense is going to be good. And if the offense can get back to 30, 35 points a game, the Sooners are going to win enough games to be in the hunt when it comes to playoff selection time. We're going to continue to discuss position by position this spring. We got the Cheetah and safety group next. And Jay, this might be the best position group on the team.
Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out online shopping and entertainment is easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Like, I love the easy collaboration piece. It manages all your money with the partner. Is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. So I said it, the Oklahoma safety room, it's the best position group on the team.
Yeah, I can think I can agree with you there. And that's no shade to any other positions on the team, but that room is nice.
I mean, from Robert Spears-Jennings to Michael Boganowski to Reggie Powers III to Jaden Hardy, that's a group of guys that, one, I think they play with an edge.
Yeah.
Two, they're tough. Three, they're physical. Four, they're athletic. All four of those guys. And so whatever rotation you have at safety, you're going to feel really good about.
100%.
Even when you drop Reggie Powers down into the Cheetah role where he's getting a lot of work right now in the spring, you're still really good at safety.
I think he's the one player that's going to end up shining out the most next year. It's going to be Reggie Powers playing a lot of that Cheetah because he has the ability to not only play very well in coverage, but he likes to hit people. So because he has that violent streak and he's going to level some dudes. I mean, he's not Michael Boganowski where he's going to get some personal fouls. Actually, that's not true. I think Reggie will end up with a personal foul or two because he does like to try to take people's necks off. But he doesn't do it as often as Michael Boganowski. That's kind of like the big difference, but he does like to hit. I mean, heck, coming out of high school, he had a whole highlight reel of just hits. That was it. It was like all big hits, and it was like 9 minutes. I'm like, this is not real, but this is great. I'm so glad that we got him from Michigan State. I'm so glad he decommitted, and we were able to win him over. But even talking about that, you still got the 5-star, Peyton Bowen that we're just waiting to break out. I know that they mentioned he was dealing with turf toe basically the last year and a half, which is very painful injuries, by the way. You lose a little bit of cutting ability with the turf toe, but that's something that he's been fighting. And if he gets if he gets healthy enough this year and he's not dealing with that, him and Robert Spears-Jennings is going to be a nasty combo. One other thing though, John, Robert Spears-Jennings was talking about this in one of the interviews after practice this week. He talked about how glad he was that Billy Bowman came back for one more year. And he basically was saying, and I'm paraphrasing, that Billy coming back gave me the opportunity to really grow and learn more about being a leader more than anything on the field. And he said that, Billy would give him tips and they would talk and, work through things and talk through things. And he feels like now he's ready to really step up. And that's his plan, is stepping up and being a big time leader to all of these young players around him, because after this year, there's a good chance he's going to get drafted within the first 3 rounds. He's already, he was solidified himself as one of the top safeties in the country. And if he goes out there and shows out like he did last year, this year with his blitzing ability and his coverage, he's going to end up, going up. And then that's when you're going to have all the young boys. You're going to have Boganowski, you're going to have Jaden Hardy, and then you're going to also have Reggie Powers III taking over that room. The safety room, like you said, ridiculous. But then you add Cheetah, when you can mix in like a Kendall Daniels, Kendall Dobie, when he gets healthy, as we talked about DBs, but you get him back healthy, him being able to move from not only nickel to corner and Cheetah. Oh man, we got a lot of interesting mixes that I'm ready to see how it's configured.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of buzz about Taylor Heim.
Oh
well.
Yeah,
we talked about the Bethany prospect, Evanson Malaska, earlier this week, and I know you want to kind of maybe not think so highly of Bethany, but Taylor Heim right now getting a lot of run at Cheetah, kind of playing that big Cheetah role, similar to a Desan McCullough. and a guy like Teddy Lehman, who probably doesn't impress very easily when it comes to linebacker play, was pretty impressed with Taylor Heim and the way he was working out there on the field at Cheetah. So it's really interesting because they've got 3 guys, I think, that we're projecting as Cheetahs in Kendall Daniels, Reggie Powers III, and Kendall Dolby, and even Taylor Heim. So 4 guys that you're projecting to play some Cheetah role that are all very different. And so you can, and I feel like this is where there's a strength in numbers here, because depending on which teams you play, you can deploy a different guy against that lineup. So like you're playing a team that's a little bit more pass happy, you're probably going to lean more towards Kendall Dolby, Reggie Powers III at Cheetah. You're playing a team that's a little more run heavy, like a Michigan, you're probably going to lean more into a Taylor Heim and Kendall Daniels. And so you can kind of mix and match and be a little bit more matchup versatile when you have this group of guys. And I think that just allows you to be a better defense when you can deploy a guy like a Taylor Heim in short yardage situations at Cheetah, similar to what you did with Dasan McCullough. And everybody remembers the impact that he made in the Red River Showdown in that goal line stand. I mean, he was taking on 330-pound defensive tackles in the hole and standing them up and letting other guys around him make plays. So that's really, really intriguing about the Cheetah position. And I think you could really live with any of those guys, especially if Taylor Heim continues that progression and continues to kind of bang the drum and make noise throughout fall camp. I could seriously see him being a significant part of the rotation.
I agree with you there. And Taylor Heim is an interesting case. I mean, he's a giant. I mean, he's listed as 6'6", but he's like 225 pounds. Like he needs to eat a few more Uncrustables at lunchtime every single day. Go ahead and, pig out on the Uncrustables, my boy. Gets a PB&J in your system. But if he could get that additional weight on, yeah, he's gonna be someone of a major threat. Because it's funny because you got Taylor Wine and Taylor Heim. Both of them have really built up a nice little reputation of hardworking and being like some surprises out there on the team. And so like when we talk about the edges, we'll definitely talk about, Taylor Wine a little bit, but Heim he would be an intriguing Cheetah just because of his ability, because of his height. And if he can get his hips going where he can get those turns quickly and be able to do really good in coverage, because he's going to be hard to throw over. He's 6'6". Mm-hmm. That's a really hard dude to throw the ball over. And especially if you're trying to throw it across the middle, but he gets his cuts down, man, he's going to be a problem and it'd be a great rotational piece.
Yeah. It's just more signs that, hey, not only is Oklahoma doing a really good job at developing and recruiting 4 or 5-star talent, they're doing a really good job at finding these kind of gems, these diamonds in the rough, so to speak, in a guy like Taylor Heim, Kendall Dolby coming out of the JUCO ranks, Eli Bowen, who was a 3-star that everybody thought was just a family offer, right? Everybody just thought Eli Bowen's just getting an offer because of Peyton Bowen. No, the kid can play, as we saw in 2024. Being in on a guy like Jaden Jackson when he was still just a 3-star player, right? Everybody's going after all these 5 stars and really heavily, pursuing them and making them the priorities. Oklahoma, in addition to David Stone, was also making a guy like Jaden Jackson feel like a priority and being able to recruit and land him. R. Mason Thomas, before he was a 3-star that was committed to Iowa State, and Oklahoma flipped him. And look what we're getting. So Oklahoma's doing a really good job at talent evaluation. That's going to get better with Jim Nagy involved and his, GM staff involved as well.
Yep.
And they're doing a really good job at finding these guys that nobody else is seeing and finding a potential spot for them on that roster. So exciting stuff for the defense. Cannot wait to see how this defense looks in 2025. It's going to be fantastic. Just not a bold take, I'm sure, but I believe it's going to be really, really good. Any other thoughts on that? Safety, Cheetah?
Just don't be surprised if there's a lot of good rotations going on in that room. And yeah, especially the young guys with Marion Robinson. Man, I've been hearing it. He's getting it. And Marcus Wimberly is balling as well. So don't be surprised, man, when you start seeing those, especially on special teams, when they get out there. I expect him to be a problem for opposing teams. The defense is going to be solid. That's basically all we can keep saying.
Well, and I think the special teams part of that is a really good point, because that's where Michael Boganowski, Jaden Hardy, and Reggie Powers III really impressed the coaching staff as true freshmen. They were willing. They were willing. Two, they took pride in going out and being excellent on special teams. And I think that sets the tone, and it shows a great example for your true freshmen, Omarion Robinson and Marcus Wimberly, to come in and be like, hey, the guys in front of me, they all went out and they busted their butt on special teams, and that curried favor with the coaches and got them opportunities to get on the field and really helped their progression. So kids, if you're listening out there, be a willing participant on special teams. Go volunteer with your coach. Like, hey coach, which teams can I be on? I want to be on the teams. Because that's going to impress them. Don't be too proud to play special teams. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. You can follow me at John 9 Williams. You can read my work covering the Sooners at SoonersWire.com. You can follow the show at Locked On Sooners wherever you get your podcasts and wherever you like to do your social media stuff as well. Hey, let us know which safety, which Cheetah are you most excited to see? What's it going to take for Oklahoma to make the college football playoff? And John Matiere, what are your expectations for him in 2025? Does he have to contend for the Heisman? Does he just have to lead Oklahoma to 10, 11 wins for you to feel like that his NIL deal was worth it? Let us know in the YouTube comment sections. Look forward to reading those. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer
Sooner.